Impact 103, your number one music choice. Be inspired.
All right, so Huvani is a mother of three, South African, proudly so, I believe, living in the United States, but a passion for people and a brand new album out. And that's what we're talking about today, and specifically how it came to be. All these great songs. We'll also play you one right after the interview. Okay, now I'm pretty sure everything's working. Huvani, thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, excellent. So whereabouts in the US are you situated? And I'm guessing it's pretty late there at the moment.
Yes, this is all dedication. I'm just saying this. It's 12:15 a.m. here.
Oh, goodness. Yes, definitely past midnight. Okay, well, thank you for that dedication. We appreciate it. Let's talk music. The album, Beauty of God, the name, the theme, where does that come from?
Okay, so to give you that detail, I have to go back and give you a little bit background of the name Huvani. So when I, like 18 years ago, when I was a kid, we had this game, and I don't know if you maybe know it, but we played this game where you have like names, places, and things where you have to choose. You write the alphabet out on a piece of paper, and you close your eyes and you like kind of drop your pen, and then the letter it falls on, that letter you have to write out like names. It has to start with that. So I always had to be different. So I didn't want to pick a random, a normal name like Hendrik or something like that. I want to make up my own name. So I used my first name and my last name, and I put it together, and I made Huvani. So that was when Huvani was born, the name. And, just to give you a little bit idea of when I was little, God already knew what was in store for me. So years ahead, jumping 3 years back now, 2017, I finally said, okay, God, I'm done running. I'm ready for the ministry you called me for. So when we started talking about the album, starting to make plans and getting the finances together and everything, Yolani J asked me, do you want to use your normal name or do you want a stage name? And my name has an apostrophe something, like a thing on the U. And so you can't use that because iTunes and all the digital platforms will throw it out. So I said to her, okay, well, what do you think about Huvani? And she said, well, it sounds cool, but I have to go pray about it. So I said, okay, I'll go pray about it. And then one night, I know my husband went to the milk parlor. This was when we were still living on a farm in Swellendam. He went to the milk parlor, and it was like 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, and I couldn't go back to sleep. And I said, Lord, please show me if this is the name that you want my stage name. And it just popped up in my head, look up the meaning of the name Huvani. And I never, thought in the 18 years, thought about, what the meaning of the name is. And so I went and I Googled it, and it popped up Beauty of God. And then I knew, okay, this was my confirmation that my stage name must be Huvani. And when we decided on the name of the album, I said, I feel like it should be Beauty of God because that's the meaning of the name.
That's stunning. What a great story. You mentioned in that conversation somebody that you talked to concerning the album, and Jelani J. And tell us a little bit more about her and her involvement. I know that she was helping on the writing of the songs. Tell us more.
Okay, so she's an amazing artist and songwriter. I basically met her when she was a little girl. I'm talking about 3 or 4 years old or something like that. We went to church together, and my mother and stepdad would like go drink coffee at their house, and she was a very shy little girl. So we didn't play together, but yeah, that's where I knew, that's where we came to know about each other. And I mean, we kind of lost contact through the years. And then, when God showed me it's time to, pursue this ministry and pursue your calling. I remembered Yulita was in the business, and so my husband said, well, just try her and see what she thinks and if she would have a meeting with you. And we scheduled a meeting, and then when I got to the meeting, Yulani J was actually sitting in on the meeting, which was not planned. It kind of just all fell into place. And when we had the meeting, we kind of just clicked, and then and there I decided, she must write my songs. And yeah, that's how it came to where I decided she must write my songs.
And then the themes of these songs, and like you've mentioned, the album's name is Beauty of God, and I'm sure that theme carries through into most of the songs as well. But you also mentioned it's been quite some time since you made this decision. Tell us a little about the process and the ups and downs, and what's behind the specific songs on the album.
Okay. So when I gave my heart to the Lord when I was 6 years old, and I was on fire for him. I grew up in a house, Christian home, went to Sunday school, just your ordinary Christian home. So I had a very good foundation, very good parents. But when at the age of 12, a few months before I turned 13, my dad passed away. He had a massive heart attack. And just to give, I know this might be a little bit too graphic for people or maybe too shocking, but I really want to, describe what I experienced in that moment and what led to why I felt the way I felt. So the night my dad had the heart attack, I walked into the room and I saw him struggling to breathe, and my mom was trying to, wake him up, and he was unconscious. So she ran to the phone to call the ambulance, and something just pushed me and said, showed me that I must go sit behind him. So I went and I sit behind him, and I just tilted his neck so he can breathe. And in that moment when I held him and he took, 3 breaths, I just yelled out, I said, Daddy, please don't leave me. Please don't go. I need you. And in that moment, I also cried out to God. I said, God, please just save my dad. Don't let him go. And as we went to the hospital, I was in the room next door, and I was just praying like I've never prayed before. And I walked out of the room, and I just saw my mom fell to the ground, and she hit the ground, and I knew it was over. And after that, the trauma was the hurt was just so overwhelming that, it was like an open door for the devil to start throwing all these lies to, in my ear, and lies of, God didn't love you. He didn't want to save your dad. And that's, proof of that. He doesn't hear you. He didn't hear your call. You're not worthy. Things, all these lies that he just put in our ear. And I believed it, and I made a decision not to serve God. I rejected God. And I decided, well, if he cannot be in control, then I can. I will be in control of my life. I can control who hurts me. I can control what hurts me. I can control who comes into my life and who doesn't. But obviously shutting out all that doors and building all that walls, it became lonely. And the more, it's like in one of my videos, I said, it's like putting one broken brick upon another to trying to build this wall. And I mean, it's not steady, and it all just comes tumbling down, and you just have more brokenness lying around. And that was what it was for me. I just had one broken heart after the other. And eventually I tried, extreme measures. And one of them was I actually wrote my suicide note. And I decided, well, God does not say when I can leave and when I have, when I live. I have the decision, I have the power, I have the control. And I was going to take my own life. And I was in a church, and the pastor stopped his sermon in the middle of his sermon. And he said, the Lord just shows him that there's someone in the congregation that wants to take their own life. And that person must come out now. And at that point, I was very rebellious. And I said, well, Lord, if that's me, then you have to call me by my name. And the next moment he said, if you do not come out now to the front, then I'm going to call you by your name. And I just had this fear of God that I've never experienced. It was such an holy fear. You cannot explain it. And I went out, and the pastor started praying for me. And he said that, Satan is trying to rip me out of God's hand, but my name is written in his hand, and he won't allow that. So basically, these songs are my journey up until this moment. 2017, I decided, okay, I'm going to stop running, because up until then, I did find my path back to God, and I did rededicate my life, but I was still running from this calling on my life. But 2017, I decided, okay, you know what, God, I'm ready. Do what you have to do. I give it all to you. I surrender all to you. But yeah, these songs are just little glimpses of what I went through. I mean, Help Me to Hear is a song where it's just a prayer where you ask God to help you to be quiet, to hear his voice, because you have so many voices in your head that sometimes you don't recognize his voice, and you can hear him. And that's what that song means to me. It's just, Lord, please help me to hear your voice. Please help me to not doubt that this is you speaking to me, and that you actually hear me. You hear my prayers. You are in control is about giving all control over to God. When I reached that breaking point in my life where I said, okay, Lord, I am tired of trying. I give it all to you. That song just talks about that. I Will Trust You is about insecurities that I had, people judging you, people, you just want that worth, and you want people to not reject you and accept you. And you look so into people that you forget about God and the Lord and his love. And just saying to the Lord, I will trust you no matter what. No, I'm not gonna, you have my back. I will trust you. And yeah, that's what the songs mean to me.
Yeah, that's beautiful. What a great story and journey that you've been on. I'd really love to play one as well. So we'll play one of those songs in just a second so the listeners can hear as well. Just tell the listeners here locally in South Africa, where is it the album available? I'm hoping on all digital platforms.
Yes, it's on all digital platforms, iTunes, Apple Music, Spotify, YouTube. So yeah, whatever music digital platform they use to download or stream music, it's definitely available there.
Well, thank you for your commitment. Very late. Now it's time you can go to bed. Now our day starts here in South Africa.
Yeah.
Humarie van Greunen or Huvani. Thank you so much for joining us all the way from the United States. And congratulations on a great album. Can't wait to play it for our listeners.
Thanks.
This one is Help Me to Hear up next, as we just talked about it. Enjoy.